In 2003, a teenager walked into the NBA with a $90 million Nike deal before he played a single professional game. People thought that was the story. It wasn't, because 20 years later, that same teenager wouldn't just be one of the greatest basketball players ever. He would become a billionaire. Not from contracts, not from championships, not from stats, but from ownership, from media, from equity, from systems. LeBron James didn't just dominate the NBA. He built something bigger than it. And the wildest part? He started planning it before most players even understand their second contract. This isn't just the story of an athlete. This is the blueprint of how a player turned into a corporation. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why LeBron's real masterpiece was never basketball. It was control. But to understand how he built the empire, we have to go back to Akron. Chapter 1. The decision that changed everything before Miami, before championships, before billion-dollar headlines. There was Akron, Ohio. LeBron grew up watching something very specific. Owners, not players. Players came and went. Owners stayed forever. That distinction stayed with him. When he entered the NBA in 2003, most rookies thought about all-star games. LeBron thought about leverage. And that's where his empire truly began. Because while the world focused on his rookie numbers, LeBron quietly chose something radical. He hired Maverick Carter, not an agent from a giant firm, not a Wall Street veteran, his friend. That decision was the foundation. Because instead of letting corporations control his brand, LeBron built his own machine. And that machine would later be called LRMR, the precursor to everything. It meant this: no middlemen, no dependency, no traditional athlete structure. He wasn't signing deals. He was learning how deals worked. And that's a massive difference. But the turning point? It wasn't Cleveland. It wasn't his first MVP. It was 2010. Chapter 2. The decision wasn't about Miami. When LeBron announced the decision, the world exploded. Fans burned jerseys. Analysts attacked his legacy. The internet melted down. But behind the controversy was something people missed: control. LeBron didn't just switch teams. He weaponized attention. The TV special raised millions for charity. He owned the narrative. He moved the league's power balance overnight. That moment proved something critical. LeBron wasn't just an athlete inside the NBA system. He could shift the entire ecosystem. Miami wasn't about rings. It was about global branding. South Beach, prime time, super team era, international appeal. His social media exploded. His global recognition multiplied. His business relationships expanded. And suddenly, LeBron wasn't just an American star. He was a global asset. But there was one deal that changed everything. Nike. Chapter 3. The Lifetime Contract. In 2015, LeBron signed a lifetime deal with Nike reportedly worth over $1 billion. That wasn't just a shoe deal. It was infrastructure. Because sneakers aren't about sneakers. They're about distribution networks, retail margins, global licensing, cultural dominance. LeBron understood something Michael Jordan proved decades earlier. Shoes outlive careers. Jordan retired. Air Jordan didn't. LeBron studied that model carefully. But here's the difference. Jordan built a brand inside Nike. LeBron built a brand that could expand beyond it. Because while the shoes printed money, he was building something far more important: equity. Chapter 4. Ownership over salary. Most athletes chase contracts. LeBron chased stakes. When he invested in Blaze Pizza in 2012, people laughed. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't basketball. But it was scalable. He reportedly took a small equity stake instead of a large endorsement check. That decision multiplied his returns exponentially. Because salary has a ceiling. Ownership doesn't. That's when his strategy became clear. Take less cash. Take more control. And this philosophy expanded into something much bigger: sports ownership. Chapter 5. Buying into Liverpool. In 2011, LeBron acquired a minority stake in Liverpool FC through Fenway Sports Group. At the time, it looked random. An NBA star investing in a football club? But this wasn't about football. It was about access. Fenway Sports Group owned the Boston Red Sox. They understood global sports monetization at scale. LeBron wasn't buying a team. He was buying proximity to billionaires. He was learning how media rights, broadcasting deals, and global merchandising really worked. And as Liverpool's valuation skyrocketed, so did his stake. But this was just a stepping stone. Because LeBron didn't want to sit at the table. He wanted to build his own. Chapter 6. Spring Hill, the media machine. In 2020, LeBron and Maverick Carter merged their companies into Spring Hill. This wasn't a production company. It was a cultural engine. Content, documentaries, movies, athlete storytelling, brand partnerships. They weren't waiting for Hollywood. They were becoming Hollywood. Spring Hill produced projects like Space Jam, A New Legacy, and The Shop, controlling narratives, building platforms, monetizing attention. And in 2021, Spring Hill was valued at roughly $725 million. That's when something became undeniable. LeBron was no longer building side businesses. He was building a parallel ecosystem, one where athletes didn't need networks, they owned them. And here's where it gets deeper, because Spring Hill wasn't just about content, it was about data, audience data, cultural trends, youth engagement, digital distribution. LeBron wasn't just producing shows, he was building a direct pipeline to Gen Z. Think about it. Basketball careers end. Media libraries don't. Streaming platforms don't. Intellectual property doesn't. And that's why Spring Hill was structured not like a celebrity vanity studio, but like a scalable media conglomerate. Private equity backed it, investors believed in it, and brands lined up for partnership. But here's the twist. Spring Hill wasn't even the most powerful part of the empire. The most powerful part was leverage. Chapter 7, super teams formed, contracts shortened, movement increased. LeBron. Chapter 8, education and legacy. The I Promise School in Akron wasn't a PR move. It was brand architecture. Because philanthropy at scale creates something unique, institutional respect. While critics debated rings, LeBron built infrastructure in his hometown, education programs, scholarships, community funding. This wasn't about headlines, it was about permanence. Foundations outlive careers, buildings outlive debates. And in the long run, legacy compounds harder than championships. But even this wasn't the final stage, because LeBron had one more move. Ownership of a franchise. Chapter 9, the billionaire shift. In 2022, LeBron officially became a billionaire, and he did it while still playing. That's unprecedented. Most athletes build wealth after retirement. LeBron did it in real time, and he made it clear. He wants to own an NBA team one day, not joint ownership, control it. Las Vegas expansion? Future franchise opportunities? He's positioning himself already. Because think about the trajectory. Player, brand, investor, media mogul, future owner. That's vertical integration. And when that happens, the empire is complete. Chapter 10, bigger than the NBA. Here's the reality. The NBA made LeBron famous, but LeBron built something that doesn't depend on the NBA. Shoes sell without games. Content streams without seasons. Investments grow without minutes played. That's the difference between a career and an empire. One ends, the other expands. LeBron didn't just maximize basketball, he used basketball as capital. Capital for relationships, capital for equity, capital for ownership, capital for narrative control. And that's why his empire is bigger than the NBA. Because leagues evolve, players retire, dynasties fall, but systems scale. And LeBron built systems, not just highlights. Outrow, the real masterpiece. Years from now, debates about rings will fade. GOAT arguments will recycle. Stats will blur. But the structure he built, that will remain. Because LeBron's greatest achievement wasn't a championship. It was escaping dependency, from Akron to global boardrooms, from rookie contracts to billion-dollar equity, from player to power broker. That's the real story. And if you're paying attention, the blueprint is right there. Bet on yourself. Build your circle. Take equity over cash. Think long-term. Control your narrative. That's how you build something bigger than the game. And LeBron? He's still not done.